I saw Arachi, their foreign minister, who the other day say or something about their policies, an eye for an eye. The president's policy is a head for an eye. I mean, honestly, that's what it's going to be. I mean, they will pay a very heavy price for the things they're doing. They're already paying a very heavy price. You guys don't know it because you don't cover it. You're not in Iran. You're not in the street. They don't have a free media. But they're going to continue to pay a very heavy price.
So, yeah, a lot to be said there. What is Israel's current posture as the United States continues these strikes now? It's night 13th, and we have no indication, of course, that they are stopping anytime soon.
There have been no strikes against Israel during this period.
Right.
And I think the reason, I'm going to surmise, is that they know that if they hit Israel, Israel is not going to tap back gently, and they're aware of that. So do they really want to open that level of attack against them? I loved what Marco Rubio said. I love most everything he says, but this was classic. And he's just been very candid to say that if the Iranians think that President Trump can be pushed and shoved off in the corner, I guess I could borrow a line from that great movie and say, nobody puts baby in the corner and nobody puts Donald Trump in the corner.
I like that.
So, Mr. Ambassador, I'd like to get your thoughts on President Trump's civilian nuclear cooperation deal that he reached with Saudi Arabia Thursday. Now, it only would move forward if the kingdom normalizes relations with Israel, joins the Abraham Accords. Of course, the action so far they refused to take. This deal would take effect only if they do that. What do you think of the president's deal and the conditions he's now putting on it?
Well, I think it's a good move by the president. First of all, it would benefit Saudi Arabia if they did have normalized relationships with Israel. Let's be clear. Saudi Arabia is under no threat from Israel. They are under a threat constantly from Iran, and they're under a threat from the Houthis in Yemen. They're not under the threat of the Israelis. In fact, the Israelis have been helpful in military and intelligence information that they've been able to share. I think more and more the Gulf states are recognizing that being normal with Israel is economically good, it is militarily good, is diplomatically good.
Yeah.
There are no downsides. The only downside is in trying to believe that the Iranians are going to keep anything they say and to trust them for as long as it takes to turn around.
I do want to shift gears back here to America. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, as you very well know, he spent all of last week floating the idea of arresting Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu when he comes to the city for the UN in September, citing that ICC warrant. Of course, he had run his campaign on the idea of doing this, but he's legally not allowed to. It's not going to happen. Donald Trump has said it's not going to happen. I would just love to know what you make of this and what Israelis make of this when they hear this about the New York City mayor.
Well, they first roll their eyes, and then they realize this is a serious Jew hate from the mayor of the largest city in America.
Yeah.
And it's very disturbing to see this guy say such reckless things. And I use the word reckless in all caps because this is utterly irresponsible on his part. First of all, he doesn't have the legal authority to arrest a jaywalker in New York, much less the head of a state. The head of a state can come to New York, speak at the UN. He has diplomatic immunity, even if there was something to arrest him for, and there most certainly is not, because the Prime Minister of Israel is not a war criminal. There have been no charges filed against him. The ICC is a kangaroo court that is more political than it is judicial. It's a joke. That's why the United States has no part whatsoever. We've never signed that treaty. If you've listened to the Secretary and the President, they've both said, and we never will. Why would we? It's a farce of a judicial body, and it's more about punishing political opponents and creating lawfare than it is about actually going after real criminals, real terrorists. That's something Mamdani doesn't seem to understand. But then again, there's a lot of things he doesn't seem to understand.
Well said.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.